Money Talks with Charter Bank, a show about money and financial issues that affect you. One-to-one banking, it's how we measure success. Money Talks with Charter Bank. Hello everybody and welcome to Money Talks with Charter Bank. Money Talks is a 30-minute program about money and financial issues that affect you. And tonight's program is just about that same subject, financial matters and financial planning. We are very excited to have Justin Struble with Wealth Caps Financial Planning as our guest tonight. Justin is a financial planner. He's a recent Jackson County Chamber of Commerce Anchor Award winner. He's a father, he's a husband, and he's an author. I really don't know how you have all the time to do that. Very carefully. But I tell you, we're happy you could take a moment to join us tonight on Money Talks with Charter Bank. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rich. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. And let's jump into it here while we can.
Sure.
And maybe have you tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, your educational background, and how you sort of worked into the financial planning business.
Sure. Well, I originally born and raised in North Carolina, went to NC State University, got an engineering degree, go figure. Yeah. Moved down to Mississippi with an engineering job, worked as an engineer for 6 years, and really knew at that point I didn't want to do it another 30 years. Mm-hmm. In the process there, got married, now I have 2 kids.
2 kids, that's great.
But really, I always had that love for personal finance and investing, and I had that entrepreneur bug in me. So I always wanted to get out and do my own thing. Mm-hmm. And so left engineering, went into financial planning. Frankly, didn't know how I was going to do it specifically. I just knew I loved it and wanted to be people's financial coach, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, did you study accounting or finance while you were getting your engineering degree?
I got a minor in business and a minor in economics, mm-hmm. and I got into some real estate even while I was in college, and then more when I moved down here to Mississippi. But I don't know, it was in me. I always studied it, even though it wasn't even necessarily a class there.
Yeah.
So
well, the details that you had to really pay attention to in engineering, obviously you have to get everything correct, probably served you well as you look at the details in financial planning.
Oh yeah, it makes it a lot easier for me to analyze an investment or an annuity or life anything, just because I've got that detailed training where I can go and crunch the numbers, so to speak. And
so how long have you been doing actual working at financial planning?
I've been in the business 5 years now, mm-hmm. and I started Wealth Caps at the beginning of 2012. Okay. So that really allowed me to get on my own and develop my own niche, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's great to get to know you, and as I mentioned as I opened the show, so eloquently, by the way.
That's right.
that you're an author. In fact, we have a copy of the book here.
I am.
It's called Creating Your Retirement Vault, Strategies to Protect Your Investments and Provide Predictable Lifetime Income, written by Justin Struble. And it's really a nice book that it's well done. I've not known that many authors in my life. You meet some as you go through, and you go to book signings and all of that. I just think it's wonderful that you took the time to construct a book on something that could be so helpful to individuals.
Well, I really wanted to put together and put on paper a lot of the strategies I use with my clients that are a little different or niched towards. Again, I'm that conservative financial planning for mm-hmm. Protect your investments and provide predictable lifetime income. That's really my niche, and that's where I've put my focus. Okay. And that's really how the book is laid out. It lays out a variety of strategies that I use with my clients. So
yeah, Who published the book for you?
Advantage Media. They're actually out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Are they?
Yeah.
Did you know them before you moved
I knew
here?
the owner of the company. He for a couple years, but I didn't know him before I moved down here. I
Yeah.
actually met him through a marketing organization.
Oh, you did?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've been in financial planning for 5 or 6 years now. You've written a book, and that seems to be a fast curve to get into such a wonderful level of knowledge.
Yeah, and well, my objective was when I got into this business, it wasn't to say, where am I going to make the next dollar? Where am I going to get the next buck? It was really, I want to build a business that's going to last 30 years.
Yeah.
And so I saw a book that's built on the foundation of what I do as a stepping stone to say, hey, I can give it to someone, and if they don't have time to talk with me, may have time to read a book and say, well, this makes sense, or they do or don't like it.
And it's, I mean, from a graphic design standpoint, the way it looks, it's wonderful, and I know it would be a great coffee table book. Not only that, but something that has what we call shelf life and could be there for a while, and you can read it, put it down, and go, you know, I'm running into this situation today on whatever it might be. It might be an IRA situation or some sort of retirement fund issue. I might pick that book up and go to that section and read about it. So it would have some shelf life, I think.
Yeah, and I tried to write it in that manner as well, where even though a lot of the topics are specific for today's low interest rate environment and the fears that are out there with the stock market and the economy, I tried to keep some of the details where they weren't so detailed that it was time sensitive, so that you could look back in 10 years and say it's still applicable.
Oh, good.
Even though the numbers may be slightly different, the concepts still apply.
Yeah, yeah. So if I'm watching the show tonight and I kind of want to get my hands on this book, where would I go to get one?
You can actually go to the website wealthcaps.com, and we've got a link. It's another site that sells the book, or you can go to Amazon. But if you want a hardcover that's autographed, and we actually send you other gifts, then go to our website. It's $14.95, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll send it out, and you'll get a couple extra gifts when you do it, and a signed copy. So.
And it's wonderful because it's written by a person who lives and practices his business, operates his business here in Jackson County. And I think that's pretty special and something that could be a wonderful keepsake as well. Plus you can learn something. And, you know, and from a practical standpoint. Yeah, hopefully, right?
Might actually learn something.
You might learn something, yeah. Okay, now the next thing I've heard is that you're a fixer, not a broker. Tell us a little bit about there and how you got to that point.
Well, I wanted to differentiate, because there's a lot of brokers, there's a lot of bankers, there's a lot of insurance agents and advisors, and not that everybody is well-intentioned, but a lot of times those advisors, or most advisors, will see one problem or concern in somebody's finances and go try and solve that one problem. But I try and take a step back and take a holistic approach to say, all right, let's see the big picture. Where does this fit into the puzzle? And then go in and work on the details. So there's the old joke that brokers make you broker. And so I like to think that first, do no harm, and then let's solve a problem. First off, let's see where we are and where everything is in the big picture, and then see how the chips fall out in the details.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess I met you 3 or 4 years ago. You were putting on some seminars, some financial planning seminars, and one of the seminars you produced was for estate planning and charitable giving, which Henry Dick, who's a wonderful estate planner, attorney out of Biloxi, actually was your keynote speaker for that. And I think that's a great approach in terms of how you can get your name out to the public, but yet provide a wonderful service and provide information. How have they worked for you?
They work well. Those I did those years ago, where it was just a lunch and learn, really, where you get an expert talking on one topic, and I change it up every month. And it's really, I've evolved it now where I'll do dinner seminars for a whole restaurant or room full of people. But it's really, people just don't walk down the street and say, oh, I need financial planning today.
Right,
No.
yeah.
So my objective is to give them information, say, hey, this is what I do, this is how I work, here's a few things that may benefit you today, and then say, all right, if you like what you've heard, then I'd love to help you.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't sound like a fit, then you've at least hopefully gotten something out of the evening, and
Yeah, yeah.
no
And
hard
that
feeling.
does that let you then work independently as you do, as opposed to being with a brokerage house or investment firm or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, being independent for me is critical, because it allows me to truly go work for the clients and say, when you come in, it's like, all right, what do you need? Where are your gaps? Where are your concerns? And then let's go find the best product, and not just some product that's handed down to me.
Yeah,
So,
that you get your bigger percentage
Yeah.
return on, or whatever, commission, those kind of things. So,
yeah, it allows me to say, okay, what are your needs, and let's go figure that out, and not, I've got to hit some quota, or I've got to do this, or
Yeah.
these are my only options.
Yeah.
It really says that I can shift my practice to the client that needs something different. So
Good. And I guess all of that added up to the being bestowed an Anchor Award from the Jackson County Chamber. I think that's wonderful. And what category did you win in that?
it's a rookie business of the year, so the first
Right.
3 years in business. And the chamber's really, they're great. What they do is I mean, you know the chamber.
Yep.
Their objective is to build that business community where you've got
Relationships.
businesses getting together. You've got that bonding and interaction to really support small business, but all business.
Yeah.
So the Anchor Awards, the Jackson County Chamber puts that on every year, and it's a recognition of small businesses.
Right.
I'm happy to be a winner. It was
Yeah, I mean, you were in there
exciting
with
to
some
win.
great, some great folks from
Yeah.
From you to the brass hanger cleaners. Bruce was here on the show last week,
Yeah.
so it's a wonderful thing. And we talked about small businesses being really the fabric of a community, and that we're very diverse, and that we're blessed with large industry here in Jackson County as well. What are some of the things you give back to the community? We've got about a minute or so to go.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did start doing at the beginning of 2014 was I started donating to charities every month. And so I've tried to donate when I can to a local charity that really supports the community, because it's always nicer to give to somebody right down the street as opposed to a national entity. Even though it still goes to good use, it's nice to see the person that it's benefiting. So
Yeah.
I tried to do that, and foresee continuing donating money and time as best I can.
Yeah, and we have some nonprofit organizations very active in making sure that agencies that service youth, arts, education, whatever it is, are very active in getting the support to those organizations, and we appreciate you doing that.
pleasure.
You bet, and we're happy you're here. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this first section, and as we conclude Money Talks with Charter Bank, I want to thank Justin for being here tonight with Wealth Caps Financial Advisors, for being our special guest. And when we return, we'll talk a little more about financial planning and some specific products that Justin offers that could really help you plan your financial future. So join us in a minute.
If our lives are getting so much better, why has banking fallen so far behind with monthly fees and bad service?
Welcome to Megabank. Please hold.
Welcome to Kasasa. Free checking with monthly rewards, refunds on ATM fees, and your choice of cash, music, and extra money to save. Upgrade to a free Kasasa account today. Carried locally at Charter Bank. Do you Kasasa?
Welcome back, everybody, to Money Talks with Charter Bank. Our guest tonight is Justin Struble, financial planner with Wealth Caps. And we appreciate you being here tonight, Justin, as our special guest.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. The first segment, we talked a lot about you and what led you to financial
It's my
planning.
favorite topic.
It's your favorite topic? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like golf for me or banking for me. Those are my favorite topics as well. But let's get into a little more specific some specific areas about financial planning, and tell us a little bit about some of the most common investment types that are brought to you that people generally need to update or upgrade.
Well, I see a lot. Again, I work with that retiree, near retiree that's looking for conservative planning. And so I see a lot of old 401ks, people retiring or switching jobs, IRAs, and even a lot of old annuities, even old being even 4 or 5 years old is old in the annuity industry these days.
When you say old or unused, what does that mean? That the money's just laying around somewhere in an account, or?
No, not that it's just sitting there. I mean, it could be, but typically it's just less efficient than some of the newer stuff. I mean, we'll get into the annuities, I'm sure, but there's a lot of changes that have happened in that industry just the last 3 years.
Sure.
And so things that were top of the line 5 years ago are now second tier.
Sure.
They're not.
Does that also apply to things like 401ks and that kind of thing?
But the biggest thing with a 401k is you've got someone retires or switches jobs, and now that usually frees up the 401k to be moved, or you can always keep it there. But one of the reasons you may want to move it, especially if you're conservative, is you're only limited in a 401k, usually those 10 to 20 investment options. So when you're more conservative, there's not usually a good conservative option in a 401k. There's a lot of risk, there's a lot of aggressive options, but there's usually risk or sit on the sideline in that fixed account.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of that conservative, hey, I want something that's predictable, that's not going to lose my shirt when the market crashes.
So when let's diagnose conservative, fixed, and aggressive. I would say fixed assets. What would those mean?
Well, you've got a lot of your CDs, bank accounts are truly fixed. You've got even fixed annuities where it's similar to a CD, but again, it would have a surrender charge instead of just the loss of interest.
And those are typically lower interest income that are more consistent rather than fluctuating, or?
Most of the things at the bank, and you can tell me better, are usually 1-2% is about all you can get on any, even a 5-year period. It's
1%.
Yeah, 1%.
So
fixed annuities give you a little bit more, but again, they're still not even keeping up with inflation today. So if it's 1 or 2% at the bank, it's 2 to 3 in a fixed annuity. It's not really a great spot for long-term money.
And then an aggressive approach would be in stocks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're in the market, even a variable annuity is at risk. The market, 401ks are typically at risk unless you're in that fixed account usually.
So do you help people come in and develop an investment strategy that might work best for them, whether they're, depending on the person's age, their income, asset level, and that kind of thing? Yeah,
everything's really customized. And my niche, my goal is that middle ground. We talk the fixed, we talk the at-risk, and there's a lot of middle ground where, frankly, most advisors skip all the way over it. They say you're either at risk or you're sitting on the sideline. But I've found and use conservative investments where you can get that above inflation returns and still have minimal or guaranteed no losses. So it's a good balance, especially if you're talking retirement income for somebody, because that's when those losses get compounded when you start withdrawing money.
There's no question about it. But in today's market, with the stock market performing a little better, running in the 17,000 range, are you tempted to kind of tiptoe into the more aggressive sort of stocks to kind of build while you can and then drop back when the returns aren't there?
If you have time. Time is always the key. I mean, if you say, all right, I've got 10, 20 years, take the risk. You're going to do better off over 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
If you're 5, 10, 2 years from retirement, it doesn't matter what you think or what I think about what the market's going to do. You can't afford that kind of risk because you're not going to make it up before you need the income.
You know, we were talking about products that need to be updated. How do you go about updating something like that?
If it's 401k, it's usually rolling it into an IRA where it doesn't cost any taxes or penalties or anything. And then finding an investment that, because once it's in an IRA, we can put it anywhere, really. Instead of just having those 10 or 20 options, now you have anything in the world. So now we can say we want really conservative, we want to stay aggressive, and we can find a more cost-efficient vehicle for them, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So who is your typical customer that you work with? I think you mentioned that a while ago, but...
Yeah, it's that retiree, near retiree. I mean, they may be 55, 65 is the typical range, although even as low as 45 or 50 sometimes, and 70s, 80s often. But typically it's that couple that comes in and says, we've worked, we want to retire 2 years, we've got this money here, this money here, this money here. We don't know how the pieces fit together.
Right.
It's a puzzle box full of pieces, and they say, I think we got enough, but...
And you see opportunity.
And I say, okay, well, let's put the pieces in the right spot and make them work to give you the best outcome.
And I think that's important information for folks out there that may fit in that demographic, wondering, you know, kind of what do I really want to do? How can I maximize the assets that we have? I think calling someone like you at Wealth Caps, they see questions, you see opportunities and answers.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Because everybody's a little different. So everybody's got certain, whether they're dispositions or desires or wants and needs.
Yeah.
And so everybody's plan is customized. And so it's really, they know what they want and I know the industry. So it's a matter of saying, okay, how does it fit together the best for you?
Absolutely. I'm going to throw you a little curve here.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Maybe a fastball, I don't know. But I'm sitting here thinking about my son, who's 33, married, 2 kids, doing well. What would you tell someone in that demographic what they should be doing now? I mean, not telling them what they should do, but what would you recommend that they look at right now?
Well, and that's the value of a plan, putting a plan together, because they've got cars they're buying, they've got, maybe they own a house, maybe they're going to buy a house, they've got kids, maybe they want to put money away for college.
Right.
They've got retirement, which is still a gray area in their mind. They don't have a date, even though they can say 50 or 60 years old.
Yeah.
In your 30s, you don't have a date. You just have a, maybe by then I'll figure it out.
Right, yeah.
And so putting a plan together really says, all right, where is your cash flow going now? What are your goals that you want to get to? And saying, all right, you've got to pay for the stuff that comes up. So you got to have the money for the next car if you're buying a house. So those things have to be figured in first. But you got to have enough to be saving for retirement, or you'll turn around and you're 55 or 60 and you're still playing catch up.
And a lot of younger families like that probably through their companies might have a 401k or something, and you could take a look at that and make sure it's set the way it should be.
And the best thing they can do in the 401k is if a company matches, put into the match.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put 6 and they put 3, that's a 50% return that year.
Yeah.
Take it, do it, even at the expense of a lot of other things that are normally higher on the priority chain. That's free money, take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It builds up quickly, especially over time. Lynn Fitch was here a couple of weeks ago, and she's the state treasurer of Mississippi.
Yeah.
Done a great job, and she's very energetic. They've dusted off the college saving programs for the state of Mississippi, and they seem very vibrant now. Have you looked at those?
And they are great. I mean, there's several states that still have, like, it sounds like they're putting back in place where you can prepay for semesters.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is a great way of saying, okay, you know how much that semester is going to cost right now. So if you can pay for it, that's one semester gone. And as opposed to this unknown college cost that, what is it really going to be in 10 or 20 years?
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had 2 kids go through Mississippi educational institutions. So, in fact, the Egg Bowl, this coming up Egg Bowl, will be very interesting at my house. It's pretty funny what could happen.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking too, and you and I had spoken earlier, and we've touched on this quite a bit. How should someone organize their money to make sure they have everything covered?
Yeah. Well, the key in my mind is every dollar, every account has to have a purpose. So, again, you've got that couple that comes in and they've got the puzzle pieces all in a box. Well, most of the time, they didn't have a plan for why they got in all those pieces.
Yeah.
And so the key is to say, all right, you need to have some money earmarked for income, you need some for an emergency fund, and all the other things, the goals you have. And once you have that, it allows you to then invest more efficiently, because the investment for an income bucket is very different than your emergency fund bucket, and it should be.
Yeah.
And so by having them in clarity and say, okay, this money is for that purpose, this is for that, it allows us to say, okay, what's the best thing for that purpose? And you get a more efficient plan when it's all said and done.
And then I guess you have to start at the beginning with a budget. What are you surprised?
Make more than you spend.
Yeah. There's an old adage about that. That's right. But do you see folks when they come in? Do they work off of a budget that you see, or can you help them get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I can help them for sure, but a lot of people have a budget where they know this is how much we spend, and some people actually have it where they know where every dollar's going and every penny's going. The key is to know at least that total, that this is what our cost of living is.
Yeah.
If you know that, it's something to work off of.
And you know your income, and hopefully your income is greater than what the outgo is, and everyone's happy at that point.
And
but then you can help people who might be in a situation where they do have expenses outreaching their income, and I bet you could help in that.
And again,
area.
that's where you could be using some of your assets, or frankly, it's not even something I do, but a reverse mortgage can help a lot of people. That it helps a very specific type of person.
Right.
Very
a certain
specific,
age
but
level,
it works.
income, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of things out there that I know about, even though it's not something I invest for them.
Okay.
So even Social Security is a great example, because I'm dealing with that retiree. And when you take Social Security, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Most people take it at 62 or full retirement, and it's kind of just the default.
Yeah, right.
And it's far more complicated than that. I mean,
agree.
I've got a whole software program that just
for that.
says what's your age, what's your Social Security, how can you maximize it. And I've seen regularly $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 difference just by how they take Social Security.
Amazing.
Just off of that.
Well, as we wind down this segment, can you believe we're winding
Already
down the
there.
segment? In a very short way, what would you recommend to the Singing River folks that are here in Jackson County that might be facing some of the issues they have with their
Pension funds.
fund? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a mess. This is a short version.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I can say is I hope that when they do whatever they're going to do and people get the dollar amount that they're actually going to get, that they give the employees the ability to get it out of the hospital system, because there's a lot of distrust, and I think it'll go a long way if employees can take it and roll it into an IRA that's not taxable. I mean, it's taxed when you take it out, but it's not taxed for the transfer.
Yeah.
And that at least gives them the control over it, as opposed to something else that's still through the hospital, that even though it's going to be safer, people are going to have less trust with the hospital.
Yeah, but to understand what you have and what's in there, and the best way to move forward with everything. When we wish them all the luck in the world with all of that, no doubt. Well, Justin, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
You bet.
I'm glad to be here.
Don't forget to go online and get a copy of the Retirement Vault book that Justin authored. It's a fantastic effort. Thank you for doing that. And thank you all for joining us tonight on Money Talks with Charter Bank. Join us every Tuesday night at 7:30 on WKFK Channel 7. And thank you for viewing tonight. Money Talks with Charter Bank, a show about money and financial issues that affect you. One-to-one banking, it's how we measure success. Money Talks with Charter Bank.
We're always looking for better ways to do things, but with some banks, better for them isn't always better for you.
You've reached Megabank. Press 1 to hear your current balance. Press 2 to hear these options again.
Introducing free Kasasa checking. When you do stuff for us, like swipe your debit card or get e-statements, we make it even better for you with cash back and refunds on ATM fees. Kasasa, carried locally at Charter Bank. Do you, Kasasa?